1957. Backstage at a club in Philadelphia, Miles Davis was watching his tenor saxophonist, John Coltrane, and what he saw made him sick. Not sick from Coltrane's playing. Sick from what heroin was doing to him. Coltrane was nodding off between songs, missing cues, showing up late, sometimes not showing up at all. Miles had seen this before. He'd been through it himself. Kicked heroin years earlier through sheer force of will and cold turkey hell. He knew where this was heading, and he knew he had two choices. Let Coltrane destroy himself while playing in Miles's band, or make the hardest decision a bandleader can make. After the show that night, Miles made his choice. Train, we need to talk. John Coltrane was one of the most gifted saxophone players Miles had ever heard. When he was clean, when he was focused, Coltrane could make the horn sing in ways that made Miles stop and listen. But that wasn't happening anymore. The heroin had taken over. And with it, Coltrane's reliability, his timing, his presence. The gift was still there, buried under the addiction, but Miles couldn't reach it anymore. "You know what I'm going to say," Miles said. Coltrane looked at the floor. He knew. "I can't have you in the band like this. You're nodding off on stage. You're missing rehearsals. Last week you didn't show up for 2 gigs. Miles, I'm trying. I know you're trying. But trying isn't enough. You're using, and it's getting worse, not better." Coltrane's jaw tightened. "I need this gig. I need the money. You need to get clean. That's what you need." "I will. I promise. Just give me more time." Miles had heard those words before. From other musicians, from himself, back when he was using promises made with total sincerity and zero follow-through. "How much time, Train? How many more missed gigs? How many more times do I cover for you when you nod off in the middle of a solo?" Coltrane didn't have an answer. Miles took a breath. What he was about to say would hurt, but it was necessary. "You're out. Effective tonight." "Miles, listen to me. You're out of the band, but you're not out of my life. You get clean, really clean. You come back, I'll hire you again." Coltrane looked up, surprised. "You'd take me back? If you're clean, yes. But not before. I'm not watching you kill yourself on my stage. What if I can control it? What if I just use less?" Miles' face hardened. "You can't control it. Nobody can. I tried. You know what happened? I almost died. Lost years of my life. Lost respect. Lost work. You want that? No. Then stop talking about controlling it. And start talking about quitting it. Cold turkey. All the way. No tapering. No just a little bit. Clean." Coltrane was silent for a long moment. "Then, I don't know if I can." "Then you're definitely out. Because if you don't think you can quit, you definitely can't play in my band." That's when Miles made the statement that Coltrane would remember for the rest of his life. "Train, I'm not firing you because I don't believe in you. I'm firing you because I do believe in you. And I'm not going to watch heroin destroy what you could become." Coltrane felt those words hit him. Miles wasn't giving up on him. Miles was setting a boundary. A hard one. Get clean. Then come back. But not before. Miles walked away. Coltrane stood there, unemployed, addicted, and for the first time in months, forced to face what he'd become. The next few months were hell for John Coltrane. He went back to Philadelphia, to his mother's house. He had nowhere else to go. No money, no gig, no prospects. His mother, Alice Blair, took one look at him and knew. "You're using again. I'm stopping. I'm quitting." "I've heard that before. This time it's different. I lost my job with Miles. He fired me." His mother's expression softened. She knew what Miles Davis meant to Coltrane, both as a musician and as a mentor. "Then maybe losing that job will save your life." Coltrane decided to quit cold turkey. No hospital, no tapering, just stop. The withdrawal was brutal. Days of sweating, shaking, vomiting. His body screaming for heroin. His mind inventing 1,000 reasons why just one more hit wouldn't hurt. His mother stayed with him through the worst of it. Brought him water, held a bucket when he threw up. Didn't let him leave the house when the cravings got unbearable. "Your father died from addiction," she told him during one particularly bad night. "I'm not losing you too." Those words kept Coltrane from walking out the door, kept him from finding a dealer, kept him locked in that room while his body purged itself of poison. After the physical withdrawal came the harder part. The mental battle, the daily, hourly decision to stay clean. Coltrane filled the void with practice. Hours and hours of practice. If he was playing, he wasn't using. If he was working on his technique, he wasn't thinking about heroin. He practiced scales. He practiced patterns. He worked on what would later become known as his sheets of sound style, dense, rapid-fire notes cascading over each other. But he wasn't practicing to impress anyone. He was practicing to survive. The saxophone became his lifeline. As long as he was playing, he was alive and clean. Months passed. 3 months. Then 4. Then 5. Coltrane felt different. Clear. The fog that had been in his head for years was lifting. He could think. He could focus. He could hear music the way he used to, before heroin dulled everything. And he started to understand what Miles had done. Miles hadn't abandoned him. Miles had loved him enough to set a boundary. Had loved him enough to say no. Had loved him enough to lose a great musician rather than watch him die. That's a different kind of love than most people offer. Most people enable, make excuses, look the other way. Miles had done the opposite. He'd drawn a line, and on the other side of that line was life. 1958. Nearly a year after being fired, John Coltrane was clean. Really clean. Not I haven't used in a few days. Clean. Months clean. Clear-headed, focused, practicing every day clean. He made a decision. It was time to see if Miles had meant what he said. Coltrane took a train to New York, found out where Miles was playing, showed up at the club early, before the show. He went backstage. Found Miles in the dressing room. Miles looked up, saw Coltrane standing there. His expression didn't change, but his eyes were evaluating, checking, looking for signs. "You clean?" Miles asked. "No hello. No how've you been?" Just the only question that mattered. "Yes." "How long?" 8 months. Miles studied him. Coltrane stood there, letting Miles look, no fidgeting, no sweating, no junkie tells. "You look different." "I am different." "You using anything? Pills? Alcohol?" "Nothing. I'm completely clean." Miles stood up, walked closer, looked Coltrane in the eyes. "Why'd you come back?" "Because you said if I got clean, I could come back." "You believe I meant that?" "I hoped you did." Miles was quiet for a moment. Then, "You ready to play?" Coltrane felt his heart jump. "Right now? I've got a show in an hour. My sax player called in sick. You ready or not?" This was the test. No warning. No preparation. Just, "Can you do this?" "I'm ready." Miles picked up Coltrane's horn case from where he'd set it down. Handed it to him. "Then you're back in the band. But Train, I know. If I use again, I'm gone for good. Not just gone from the band. Gone from my life. I won't watch you die. I did this once. I won't do it twice. You won't have to." "I'm not going back." Miles nodded. "Then let's play." That night, John Coltrane played with Miles Davis's band again. But he wasn't the same Coltrane who'd been fired a year earlier. He was better, clearer, more focused. The months of intense practice had transformed his playing. The sheets of sound style had developed. His technique had sharpened, but more than technique, something else had changed. He played with gratitude, with awareness of how close he'd come to losing everything. The audience that night didn't know they were witnessing a resurrection. They just knew they were hearing something special. After the show, Miles didn't say much. Didn't need to. He'd given Coltrane the test, and Coltrane had passed. The next day, Miles made it official. "You're back in the band full time, same as before you left, except you're better now." Coltrane's return wasn't just about getting his job back, it was about getting his life back. And Miles had made that possible by doing the hardest thing a mentor can do. He'd said no. The next year, 1959, Miles recorded Kind of Blue. John Coltrane was on that album. His solo on So What became legendary. Clear, precise, emotionally resonant. The solo of a man who'd almost lost everything and fought his way back. Would that solo have happened if Miles had let Coltrane keep playing while using? Would Kind of Blue have been the same with a compromised, addicted Coltrane? No. Miles's tough love had saved not just Coltrane's life, but his legacy. By 1960, Coltrane was ready to leave Miles's band and form his own group, not because of conflict, but because he'd grown beyond being anyone's sideman. Miles let him go without resistance. "You're not my saxophonist anymore. You're John Coltrane. Go be that." Coltrane went on to record A Love Supreme in 1965, one of the most important jazz albums ever made, a spiritual masterpiece, the work of a man who'd been to hell and come back transformed. In interviews later, Coltrane was always clear about what Miles had done for him. "Miles saved my life. He fired me when I needed to be fired. He drew a line when I needed a line, and he took me back when I earned it. Most people would have just let me keep playing while using. Miles loved me too much to let me destroy myself." That's the part most people miss about the Coltrane story. Miles' decision to fire him wasn't cruelty. It was love. Hard love. Boundary-setting love. But love nonetheless. When Miles Davis died in 1991, many people spoke at his memorial. They talked about his music, his innovation, his influence. But the most important thing Miles Davis ever did might have been firing John Coltrane, because that one decision saved a life and gave the world A Love Supreme. Today, Kind of Blue and A Love Supreme are considered two of the most important jazz albums ever recorded. Neither would exist without Miles's tough love in 1957. The lesson isn't just about addiction, it's about love. Real love. Real love sets boundaries. Real love says no when no needs to be said. Real love doesn't enable destruction. Miles didn't save Coltrane by being nice. He saved him by being hard. "You're out. Get clean. Then come back." 7 words that saved a life and changed music history. Subscribe for more stories about mentors who loved enough to set boundaries, about second chances earned not given, and about the hard decisions that save lives. Because sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say no. Sometimes firing someone is how you save them. And sometimes the greatest gift a mentor can give is a boundary that forces a choice. Miles gave Coltrane that gift. And Coltrane chose life. Everything else, Kind of Blue, A Love Supreme, the legendary career flowed from that choice. But the choice only became possible because Miles loved him enough to say, "Not like this. Get clean or get out." And then when Coltrane came back clean, Miles loved him enough to say, "Welcome back. Let's play."